Good afternoon. Are you part of a movement to change the world? If not, would you like to be? Contemplatives have the power to change the world. Hello, my name is Martin Coward, and greetings from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And welcome to our noonday meditation and contemplative prayer power hour, where we come together daily to love and support each other through a contemplative life, to step into our power, to love and support each other and change the direction of humankind, to change the direction of the world. As a matter of fact, contemplatives are the only ones who have the real power to change the world. If you look back in history, they're the ones who did and are doing it. Those real life-changing prophets and avatars that have been guiding us for centuries toward a better planet, a planet that's equal and loving and grounded in truth. And there are millions and millions and millions of people right now who are waking up to the truth of who they are and what they are through a practice of some form of contemplative practice. Either contemplative prayer or meditation. Everyone who taps into this source does it through a contemplative practice. Because that is how we ground ourselves. That is how we find ourselves with the human existence in connection with the power within us. That is the act of being present, of surrendering the egoic thoughts in our heads, in our minds, in our bodies. They keep us separate from God. They keep us separate from our power. And it takes courage to go inside ourselves. And millions of men and women have found that, particularly today, in the time of COVID-19. Hey, there's Rohit, my dear friend, Rohit Ruhela. I'm glad you got your last name back. It's nice to see you. I hope you're doing well in New York City this Saturday afternoon. It's a beautiful day here in Puerto Rico. And today we're talking about a subject I know you like, and that's about a contemplative life. And it's not a contemplative life so we can go sit on a mountain somewhere and sort of exclude the world, to be outside the world, to be something. Oh, you're so welcome. I'm so glad you're here. It's not about, contemplatives are not monks who go outside the world. We're monks who engage in the world. We become enlightened. We empower ourselves. We become empowered, and when we do, we feel compelled to participate in the evolution of our planet. We are compelled to bring our services into the world and add value for the betterment of others, because that's what we do as co-creators. We are built in the image. We are designed. We are created in the image of the Creator. We are the DNA of the Creator in human form. It's a marvelous gift. And what we contemplatives have discovered is that what might have started out in the beginning as a personal journey inside ourselves for some peace and quiet, to escape from all the stress and anxiety of the drama of the external world. But what we typically find, once we have the courage to go in and face some of our fears, once we typically find, because you can't bypass that, you cannot spiritually bypass the dark stuff, okay? That's why people wonder, why is it, what's so courageous about being a contemplative? Well, you have to go inside and you have to look in your interior landscape at all those demons, all those things that scare us, that keep us from ourselves. And that takes courage and love and support from each other while we come together. So the life of a contemplative is a person in action to change the world. It would be very rare. I mean, if you look at contemplative teachers today, major influencers who are spiritually grounded, like Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, to name a few, Martin Luther King Jr., Harvey Milk. These are all influencers and life changers of the world with visions of a better world grounded in truth and love and prosperity. And they are all grounded in some way of being in touch through a contemplative practice with that higher source, that higher power within all of us. We have to go inside ourselves through a contemplative practice and feel our way through the fears. Feel our way, sit in the discomfort, if you will, of the two worlds. The material world, where people are dying and we're losing loved ones and people are making stupid decisions to wear masks or not to wear masks. I mean, it's just, it's painful. I'll give you a small example. I'm in Puerto Rico, and they had planned on the 15th of sort of relaxing some of the social restrictions, but because the COVID-19 has increased, they actually came down harder. And they said you can't even go to the beach except to exercise. Well, I was furious with that at first. I was like, oh, here I am on my vacation in Puerto Rico, and I can't go sit on the beach. And I sat with that for a second. Finally, I let go of my personal needs. And I felt my way through the anger. So let me quit thinking about this story. Let me just feel the anger and see what's behind it, see what's inside there. And so, as a contemplative, I wanted to use that anger, if you will, to guide me deeper inside myself to a deeper level of truth. And that's what contemplatives do. They don't escape from their problems. They don't escape from their anger. They don't escape from their shame. They feel more deeply into it to find out what it's all about. To find that river of life that current of power that holds all of it together, including those negative feelings. But I use those negative anger, shame feelings. I feel my way into them. I don't think about them. I feel my way as a contemplative into those deeper resources within me. And what I do is I find my power. And all of a sudden, my whole perception of the world changed around this crazy law that I can't go sit on the beach. I quit thinking about it, and I started to feel it, feel the impact of that story on me. And I realized how narcissistic it is of me to feel inconvenienced that I can't go sit on the beach to protect people from dying. I mean, really, you think about it. So then, what shifted is that I went from a place of being angry to a place of gratitude that I'm on an island where the people who are running the island care enough about the people who live here to set up some protections that aren't so popular. It's not about being liked. It's about protecting the people that are here and making some courageous decisions that are not going to be popular, particularly on our island that depends so much of its economy on tourism. So you can imagine what it does to the tourist industry here if you can't go sit on the beach. So it's not a very popular, but I think what most people do, contemplatives particularly, when they go in and find themselves and say, oh, I'll be a little inconvenienced. I will gladly be a little inconvenienced if it's going to be for the protection of the world. So our own perspective or interest is the cause of hindrance to resolve daily concerns. I'm not sure what the question is, but I think what you're saying, I'm gonna just answer it with a story, with an idea. We rarely see the world the way it is. We see the world we are. When I say the way we are, I mean where we are on what I'd call the stairway of selves. Where are we in the moment on the stairway of consciousness? In the moment when I heard this law, this rule, it put me down into the place of victim. It put me down in the very physical realm. So I was in fear, and I felt victimized, and I felt bad. I felt angry. But anger, the good thing about anger, if you're willing to just feel the anger, it will elevate us up into a higher level of consciousness. It is the gateway into action. So then I began to take action to move myself into a higher level of consciousness. I'm a contemplative. I've been doing this for 40 years. And I knew I could transcend this if I would just let go. If I would just let go and sit in the discomfort of this anger. And by just sitting in it and being present to it, a bigger force came up inside of me, and all of that dissolved. And I found myself in a place of infinite possibilities, of infinite ways that I can add value to the world that day instead of brand new intention, a new truth and a new intention for how I can show up for that day. As a contemplative, when I'm in that spiritual realm, if you will, when I'm in that higher level of wisdom and love and generosity, I have a different perspective of the world. It's not about me. It's about what can I do? How can I show up and add more value? So by creating that new intention, and how can I be a participant, and even bigger, how can I be a participant in the formation and the creation of a new world order grounded in truth, love, and prosperity, a new world social economic system that is going to be for the benefit of everyone. How do we create a world for the betterment of others? That is what encompasses. And that is the pursuit of happiness, by the way. We think it's about getting our own needs met. We think if I could just go swimming today in the beach, and go lay out on the beach, I'd be happy. But would I be happy if I thought I was putting other people at risk? No. But I have to go through a conscious process, which I call contemplative prayer. Some people call it meditation, of surrendering the beliefs and the opinions of my egoic mind and transcend the human mind to a level of spirituality. And that's faith. And that takes courage. These come out of the fear component into the love component. Did that answer your question? I love the question because it gave me a chance to pontificate on something I care a lot about. So if you think being a contemplative is about being quiet and reserved and removed from the world, because once you become a contemplative, you can't focus on yourself so much anymore because it's too painful. So be warned. If you do decide to take this life as a contemplative, your life as you know it will never be the same. And even if you're like me and you've been on this contemplative path for quite a number of years, every single day I step into that more fully, my life changes. And if my life changes, my world changes, my personal world, the world that I perceive changes, then the world out there changes. Because we are all the creators of that world. So for me right now, I'm sitting personally in a place of love and abundance. So when I sit here in Puerto Rico, instead of saying I can't go to the beach, which might make me feel bad, I think what a wonderful beach. I can go down there and do my exercises and swim a little bit if I want to. They don't restrict me from that. I just can't go lay down there and socialize. So there's an abundance of opportunities for me to enjoy San Juan while I'm here. But the thing is this, when we live in scarcity, we focus on what we don't have. When we focus, which is a story, we focus on what we don't have. But when we come from a place of abundance and prosperity, we're open to the possibilities of something much bigger than we're aware of. So that there is, from my perspective, millions and millions of people right now around the world, around the planet, all areas of the planet, who are waking up daily, moment to moment, to a new world order, to a new world reality. We are in a mass collective movement, if you will, to shift us out of, as this old toxic, fear-driven economic system of fight for the fittest, zero-sum game, implodes on the weight of its own pain and its own weight and toxicity, as it self-destructs, if you will. There's a whole bunch of us contemplatives who are part of a movement to build something new out of those ashes. A new world, a new social economic system that benefits everyone. It is a wealth creator, a money creator. Money becomes an expression of love, an exchange of value. Yes, money's not a bad thing, it's valuable. It's a way, it's an exchange for value. It's a way to exchange value with one another. I value what you have, so you give me some money. You value what I have, so you give me some money. And through that exchange of value, we create more value, we create more wealth. And there's an infinite supply of that. And that's what we're moving toward. There is no finite high of money and resources. That's absurd. And when you're a contemplative, it's so clear. That's the beauty. Once you step into this space, it becomes so clear that we're part of something so much bigger, so much more exciting than trying to fight for my own little piece of the world. That you have no interest. You would never go back to something that was so painful. So if you want to be part of something really exciting, probably the most exciting time in the history of humankind, join the contemplative movement and create a new world. It's a lot of fun. I'm gonna read a little piece today that came out yesterday from Richard Rohr. Richard Rohr, as you might or might not know, he is a Roman Catholic priest and a Franciscan brother, and he started something called Center for Action and Contemplation quite a few years ago, and he is a leader in the world today. He is a thought leader of contemplative practices and social change. So I want to read a little bit so he's just been such a spiritual force for me to help guide me through my own and get clarity about my interpretations of the world. And that's how it works, by the way. We all need each other to support each other to get this done. It's because we're all one. He calls this piece Contemplative Activists, Two Revelations of Faith. Everything begins in mysticism and ends in politics. Charles Pigoué. It seems to me that a regular practice of contemplation makes it almost inevitable that our politics are going to change. Let me just read that one more time. That's a very, very powerful assumption. It's also a truth. It's a truth that we've seen throughout history, and we're seeing it today. It seems to me that a regular practice of contemplation makes it almost inevitable that our politics are going to change. The way we spend our time is going to be called into question. Our snug socioeconomic perspective will slowly be taken away from us. When we practice prayer consistently, The things that we think of as our necessary ego boundaries fall away little by little as unnecessary and even unhelpful. As I like to say, when I realized I was part of something so big, so beautiful, so magnificent, so loving, so nurturing, so creative, all my little petty narcissistic concerns just dissolved. Whatever our calling on behalf of the world, it must proceed from a foundational yes to God, to life, and to reality, capital R. Unnecessary no to injustice and all forms of unlove will actually become even clearer and more urgent in the silence. Now our work has a chance of being God's pure healing instead of our pure anger and agenda. You see the difference in the shift in the way this is working? It becomes less about a personal agenda and more of a separate nature, but more of a larger purpose, a larger sense of meaning to our lives. And that's exciting. We can feel the difference in both sides of any issue. It's important because we realize that we are on both sides of the issue. There is no more we and they because we're all one thing. Anything that separates and divides, you know, is coming from the lower mind self, the dualistic thinking brain. That's what non-duality is. It's when we move to a place beyond that transcends the human brain that has to think in terms of duality. It has to think in terms of right and wrong, good or bad, hot and cold, more or less. That's the way our brains work, and that's how we navigate the world. But through contemplation, through meditation, we transcend the ordinary binary thinking mind to a much bigger power of truth, of oneness, of non-duality. It's no more a we and a they. People often I ask, well, how do you know the difference between the ego thinking and the love thinking? Because sometimes we get confused. Well, I ask the simple, is it divisive? Does it divide anything in half? Split it up? Does it make one thing better than another? Is there any kind of comparison and contrast? Or is it just a love for what is? Because contemplation feels like dying and is, in fact, the experience of the death of our small self, we can only do this if someone else, if something else, someone else is holding us in the process, taking away our fear. Someone else, he's got in capital letters, meaning God. Some power bigger than us. We can't take away our fears because we created our fears. So I knew that when my fears subsided, when my anger subsided around the new rule that I couldn't go to sit at the beach, and it transformed into gratitude, that I had been pulled up by a higher level of power. I knew I was in connection because I had a transformative experience. This transformation is about. It's about moving from that lower level of it's about transcending the pain body in the human mind. Because it dies. That ego self identity literally died. It doesn't exist anymore. And it's holding on with all its grip. That's why it takes so much courage to get over it. So God takes away our fear. If we trust that that's someone else to do the knowing for us, that someone else being the Divine Mother, I call it, we can go back to our lives of action and new vitality, but it will now be much smoother. It will be no longer we who are but the life of the one who lives in us. It will no longer, it will be no longer we who act are contemplative, but the life of the one who lives in us, now acting for and with all of us. So what happens as contemplatives is we let go of our human need to control and manipulate and change the world to get our needs met, to allowing that deeper force within us to come through us and make a difference. I can say as a public speaker, and I get out of my own way and allow and just trust that those words are going to come from a deeper place within me when I'm on stage. But I have to do some practice to get there, by the way. So I know it's going to be there. Then I know it's not coming from me. It's coming from a deeper source. And that's the power of this changing the world. When enough contemplatives are aware enough, they can get out of their own egoic way to allow the creative force of the universe to work through them as instruments of healing and recovery and joy and peace. That's how we create a new world. It's not Martin doing it. It's Martin getting out of the way. It's not Rohit doing it. It's Rohit getting out of the way. Henceforth, it does not even matter whether we act or contemplate or act, because both articulations of our faith will be inside the one flow, which is still and forever loving and healing the world. Remember that this is kind of a strange way of writing it. Henceforth, it does not even matter whether we act or contemplate or act, because both articulations of our faith will be inside the one flow, which is still and forever loving and healing the world. So that's contemplation and action. As contemplatives, the action we take, the tool we use, I guess, to master the skills of a contemplative is prayer and meditation. So that we're acting all the time in the world, like I am right now, I will tell you. I am speaking from a contemplative place. I am speaking words from a deep place within me. And the only agenda I have is to make the world better, is to add value by my wisdom and my knowledge today. And let you know I care about you, I love you. And we'll let you love and care for me. That's why we're here. And that's how we change the world. One prayer at a time. Whether that's prayer in action or prayer in sitting. Both are action. Christians would call it the very flow of life that is the Trinity. We live and move and have our being inside of this one eternal life and love that never stops giving and receiving. This is how we die, by brightness and the Holy Spirit, according to Thomas Merton. Contemplation is no fantasy, make-believe, or daydream, but the flowing patience and steadily perseverance. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Contemplation is no fantasy, make-believe, or daydream, but the flowering of patience and steady perseverance. When we look at the world today, we may well ask whether it can be transformed on the global level, but I believe there is a deep relationship between the inner revolution of prayer and the transformation of social structures and social consciousness. I'm going to read that one more time again. This is so well articulated in what I'm talking about as contemplatives in action to change the world. When we look at the world today, we may well ask whether it can be transformed on the global level. But I believe that there is a deep relationship between the inner revolution of prayer and the transformation of social structures and social consciousness. We need only look at the lives of the contemplatives in action that we read about this week to know that it's true. Our hope is that contemplation really can change us and guide our actions for compassion and justice in the world. So thank you everyone right now for just taking some time out of your day to get still and get quiet and step into this exciting movement to change the world. Will I be a little inconvenienced and not be able to go sit on the beach? You better believe it if I could participate in something as exciting as this. But I wouldn't even know it existed if I wasn't a contemplative. So I'm just so grateful for so many years of my contemplative practice that have put me in a position with deep roots into that source within myself. So let's get still. We can start with raising our arms in the air a little bit, wiggling our fingers. And now just hold your hands in the air and just, how do you know you have hands? Because you can feel it. Because you feel the life force within them. Now put your hands on your heart. Feel the beating of your heart. Just get still for a moment. Quiet. Begin to get still. Begin to quiet and ask, how am I feeling right now? Where am I? Where am I on the stairwell of selves? And wherever you find yourself, just accept it and love it. That's where you are in this moment. And get present to that. Get present to whatever you're feeling in this moment. Don't think about what you're feeling. Feel it. Yeah, there you go. Feel it. And allow yourself to get still. Feel your way deeper inside. Sometimes you might even feel like you might even envision grace descending from the crown of your head into your body. Love, power, the grace of God, the grace of the Creator, descending down into us, coming in through our minds to descend into our hearts, pulling with it every thought, belief, and opinion we might have, so that we can lovely fall back into a cloud of unknowing. The sweet world of I don't know. It's beyond my mind. I don't know. All I know is that I'm loved. That's all I know. It's all I can be sure of. I am loved and you are loved. We are created out of love. Anything we create out of that anything we create out of love is beautiful. It's more beautiful. Infinitely beautiful. Not more, infinitely. I like the word infinitely because more assumes that something is less beautiful than another. We begin to move into a space of infinite love and prosperity. Infinite time, immorality. From beyond our mortality of this body. and move more fluidly into the spiritual realm of what we are as contemplatives. And with this practice daily, day by day, we begin to find ourselves we got to set the bell. We find ourselves more deeply connected to our source. So begin to feel your way. Let the sound of the bell, the vibration of the bell, allow us to feel more deeply inside. And be still and know that I am not me. I am not me. I'm the creative force of the universe, not me, Martin. But to get out of the way, Martin gets to participate in the creative force, allow that creative force to come through me. That's a really exciting place to be. So I look forward to these moments of getting still, connecting to that power. That's where joy is. Welcome back. Oh, we got somebody that joined us. Hello, Rick. Thank you for joining us. I think I missed something. I don't know. When did you join us? What this is a noonday uh, contemplative power hour, and we typically I talk a little bit about some subject matter. I write about it, talk a little bit about it. Usually, I reference a spiritual teacher of today. I talked about Richard Rohr. And I talked a lot about stepping into the power of change by being a contemplative. So if you want to find out more, there'll be a replay of this shortly after I end. Watch the replay. Come back anytime. We meet every day here at noon, Monday through Saturday, to love and support each other through the pandemic, through a contemplative practice. We stop, get still, and listen to that deep power within us for guidance through this. And we know we're all one, so we don't do it alone. So I'm glad you joined us today, at least for the end of it. At some point, you must have come in. My eyes were closed during the meditation. But that's what you may have missed, and you can certainly watch it in the replay. Come back again on Monday at noon. Please do. Nice to see you. So thank you again. So, everyone else, join me again today. Thank you so much for being here. It's always great, and we are changing the world, one prayer at a time, and one action at a time. But action from the place of prayer, action from the place of the heart, is what is going to change the world. It's going to be grounded in truth and love and prosperity, and that's what's going to come out of the ashes. That's what's coming out of the ashes as we speak. It's not going to happen. It is happening. It's exciting. Contemplatives are exciting people because we have the power to change the world, and we're doing it. So join us. It's a fun place to be. So thank you for joining me, and may love and prosperity prevail.